under brand strategy, we have your self-discovery, which is you truly understanding who you are. How are you unique? What are your unique strengths? What are maybe not your strengths? What do you actually want to show in the world? What do you want to bring forward? And what do you want to keep private, for example? What do you want? What is your message? What is your core truth? Why do you do what you're doing? Okay. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Be Brand podcast. And I am so excited because I am working on a several part series that is the building of a profitable personal brand. And I came up with this idea because I think there is so many articles, so many things that literally are talking about, like, what is a personal brand? You need to do this, you need to do that. But how do you actually build a profitable personal brand? And in the last 6 years, I have developed my own system that we use inside of the Be Brand Academy. And I can't wait to share every single part with you so you actually understand how to build not just a personal brand, but a profitable personal brand. So let's get going. I have some notes in here that I'm going to be following, and I kind of want to talk about this. So the first thing is, why do I say a profitable personal brand? So number one is I see a ton of people talking about building a personal brand on social media, building a personal brand on Instagram, building a personal brand on YouTube, this or that. But the thing is, that your personal brand strategy starts way before all of that. So there is so much noise in the online space that if you are building a business and you know you want to build a personal brand, you may get confused with, well, what do I need to do on Instagram? Do I need one account? Do I need two accounts? Do I need three accounts? And the answer to that is actually on your strategy. So I kind of want to bring it back to that. And the other reason is because depending on who you are and what you do and how you actually serve your clients, you actually being profitable and making a shit ton of money and building a brand that actually changes the world comes down to your offers. And most people are not really talking about this. They're talking about building a personal brand on terms of create video, show up your face, let people know, like, and trust you. And yes, we need all of that. But the way we have developed this inside of the Be Brand Academy is in a way that you actually develop a product and a business model that actually you love. So, okay, let's get started. So first of all, I want to talk about how do I personally see a personal brand and where do I see most people making this mistake. So there is 3 phases of building your personal brand. And if you have been in my world for a hot minute, you know that I talk about this all the time in my bootcamps. I talk about this. I believe I have talked about this early on the podcast, which is your personal brand is personal brand strategy, personal brand identity, and personal brand marketing. Now, why this is important is because what is in each of those phases is what's going to make or break the success of you actually building a personal brand and staying the course. So under your personal brand strategy is where you have your self-discovery. This is a key piece. One of the things that I believe most women in business are struggling with is, and I want to be transparent, I actually struggle with this at the beginning of my journey too, which is we want to go to market. We want to bring our product to market. We want to sell, right? Because a lot of us, we are trying to either live our 9 to 5 or grow a business, support our families. Money is a key piece of the equation. However, the moment you lose clarity is when you actually don't have the pieces that I'm going to talk about in a second into place. But under your brand strategy, I kind of want to walk you through that framework first so you understand why so many women are confused and why you are confused too. So the perfect example of this is I was talking to somebody at an event yesterday, and we're talking about her brand, and she understands why she wants to build her brand. But she said, well, yeah, but I was working with a coach and they told me this is how I have to do it on Instagram. And I'm like, okay, let's actually back up for a second. Tell me a little bit about who's your ideal client. Who are you? What do you want to achieve? And what are your avenues of actually creating income? And she was like, the reason for that is because there is no strategy. She's just trying to put on social media. So let me break it down for you. Under brand strategy, we have your self-discovery, which is you truly understanding who you are. How are you unique? What are your unique strengths? What are maybe not your strengths? What do you actually want to show in the world? What do you want to bring forward? And what do you want to keep private, for example? What do you want? What is your message? What is your core truth? Why do you do what you're doing? Okay. So their core values, your why, your storytelling, all of that is under your self-discovery. And we're actually going to go deep into that in a second. But under brand strategy, we also have your ideal client. We also have your content mastery, like you understanding your messaging. This is not about which platform. This is about you understanding your messaging. And then we have personal brand identity. This is where you start developing maybe your website, your logo, your colors, your actual visual branding, which a lot of people actually confuse with branding. The brand strategy is what's going to inform all of the other pieces, okay? Under this is also your brand voice, your brand personality, all of the things that we use to show people who you are, what your products are. And this is where you get to say, okay, do I want to be a luxury brand? Do I want to be fun? Do I want to be colorful? And everything comes down to that strategy, okay? And on the third phase of you building your brand, this is where the brand marketing actually comes in. And this is where you actually can think, okay, how do I want to bring my brand to the world? Literally, your marketing is you telling people about your brand, right? And about your products. And this is where most people get confused because people are starting to they want to start the brand by starting on the brand marketing. And this is where you get stuck because now you are, okay, I know I'm fucking amazing at what I do. However, how do I tell people about this? What do I say? What do I post? All those answers are on your personal brand strategy. And this is where most people go wrong. Okay, so today specifically, I want to talk about personal brand strategy. And I want to talk about what actually encompasses that, what is the work, and why is so important, which I think I already said that. But let's dive into personal brand strategy. My first step that we teach all people when they come to the academy is self-discovery. Why do you want to do this business? Who are you? What are core values? What is your why? Your brand story, your personal brand story, and then your mission, your vision statement, and your personal brand statement. Now, why is this so important? Let's actually give this example. You wouldn't build a house without building the foundation. So if you ever try to go and post on social media, or maybe you actually started to try to start a podcast, or you try to do videos on TikTok, or you try to start a YouTube channel, whatever it is, even starting a Facebook group, whatever it is, if you don't know what to talk about, it's because you have not worked on any of this. Now, where the offer comes in here, and this is what I tell people, usually you start with the idea of an offer. Oh my God, I could be making money doing this and I love it. And that's where you start this business, this venture, whatever it is that you're doing, right? So now you back up and you're like, okay, why do I love it? Why do I want to help people with this? And this is the thing, your why is not because I want to make money. Now, this is the thing. Yes, we all want to make money. And at the beginning, that's probably the reason you started the business. You knew you could make money with this product. However, I'm talking about the why. That is the reason why you are doing this and not something else. I'm going to give you an example. When the pandemic hit, I had pivoted into personal branding photography full time and only doing personal branding photography because I did baby photography and portraits before. But in 2017, I knew that this was my niche and I knew I wanted to work with women entrepreneurs. I was so passionate by their passion when I started working with women entrepreneurs. So in 2020, when the pandemic hit, a lot of my clients started asking, can you teach me how to actually take my own photos? Because at the beginning, I was not shooting. I don't know what to post. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to show up right now on social media. I'm so confused. And I actually started the Facebook group that I still have today, the Personal Branding Strategies for Female Entrepreneurs. This was a completely different name. I don't even remember what the first name was, but it was exactly the same group. And I started teaching people what to do with their photos. Well, that actually turned into a 3-month course to teach people how to tell their story, because you're not going to show up on social media and be like, buy this from me, buy this from me, buy this from me. Either it's a service or a product or whatever it is. So literally how it all started. Now, when I started creating my own brand around that new thing that was happening to me, what I realized is the reason why I created this product was the same reason why I was so passionate about doing just personal branding photography, which is women want to tell their stories. Women are passionate about their business. Women see no boundaries when it comes to actually growing their business through a pandemic or whatever it is, right? So for me, it has always been about helping women to bring their message to the world and actually do it in a way that leads to more sales, leads to more fulfillment, leads to having more fun, because that's just my personality, right? So for you, discovering all of this, it's so freaking important, because the only thing that you're talking about is why people need to buy from you. Let me ask you this. Why would they want to buy from you? And I am not saying that your product, your service, because I don't really work with product people, but like your service is not amazing, but it's amazing because of you. It's amazing because of the person that you are. It's amazing because of your story. It's amazing because of your unique way of delivering that product that is hundreds, thousands, probably millions personal branding coaches, but you're here, you're in this podcast, you're in this video, you're in this Facebook group, you're in my community, right? Because somewhere at a deeper level, you connect with my message. And this comes down to the core values, the why, me sharing the way I share my story, the way I speak. So many people teach personal branding in a different way. But if the way I teach resonates with you, you're going to stick around and you're going to come into the academy, whatever it is, right? Because that comes down to the first step of your personal brand strategy, which is the self-discovery part. And this is where a lot of people, and I say people, women, because I only work with women, a lot of women start actually having self-doubt. So I want to address that for a second, because this is where you're going to be, well, but I don't have a long enough story to actually talk about this. Or maybe I don't have a degree, or maybe all these ideas. And this is the thing. I want to share with this, and I have no idea where I heard this, if I came up with this or whatever, but I've been using these for a while to paint the picture for you. You are always going to be in the middle. What does this mean? I am in the middle. You're in the middle. Everybody's in the middle. What does this mean? that there is always going to be somebody that is ahead of you. There is always going to be somebody that is behind you. There is always going to be somebody that knows more than you. The only thing that you need to remember is there is always somebody that is 2 steps behind you, that connects with your story, connects with you, gets to know, like, and trust you, and gets to learn from you because they are 2 steps behind you. Not because you are the one that knows everything. And you do not need to know everything. I am sure there is so many things about personal branding that I don't know. There is so many things that maybe they don't apply to my client. There is so many things that I know that I don't bring to the table because, again, they don't apply to my client. So I want you to start understanding this is the foundation, because then when you start talking about your service, you infuse your service with your core values. You infuse your service with your own why. You tell parts of your story. I'm telling you part of my story right now, right? Of how the Be Brand Academy came to be, and that it used to be a 3-month course, and why it started, and what was the need that was fulfilling on the market at that moment. That was 5 years ago, 4 years ago during the pandemic. So I want you to understand this, that every time that you work on this, because I feel like some women do not want to do this work. I was listening to another personal branding podcast last week, and the host was talking about some people have been in business for 10 years and they haven't done this work. And then they are asking themselves why their business is not scaling to the level that they envision. And I guarantee you that if you're not getting to those 6 figures, if your community is not growing, if you're not having conversations, deep conversations with possible clients where you're talking about how you can help because of who you are and not just because of your service. And the conversation is not just you sitting in front of them, it's you on social media, you maybe on a podcast, you on a video, you educating. They don't know. And they can connect with you. They can see why you are the person for them. And they don't even understand what problem you solve for them. So for me, I know that this is a missing piece for a lot of people. Now, I kind of want to walk you through the whole pillars that we use inside of the academy in order to help people build their personal brand, right? So I came up with this framework because I realized when I first started coaching, I was like, oh, I'm just going to teach people what I'm doing and why it's working and it's going to work for them. But that is not true. As a coach, there is so many things. This is the difference. I always say when people hire me, they're hiring a coach and a strategist and a consultant all in one package, because a coach is somebody that is going to ask you questions so you can come to your own conclusions. A strategist is going to see what is the best way to bring your product into the world, and a consultant literally is going to tell you what they think is the best way for you to do. However, I've seen so many women that I told them what to do. I told them what I thought it was the best strategy, but then they won't actually do the thing because self-doubt, because of all the things. Now, if you're into this thing and you're going through anything like that, we have a ton of episodes on mindset and energy work. Go take a look at those or send me a message and I'll tell you which one is the best for you, depending on what you're going through. But I came up with this framework thinking of that, okay? And I call it SEMA. And this is like a strategy, identity, marketing, mindset, and accountability. And the reason why I came up with this is I was teaching a lot of strategy, right? How to uncover your core values, how to talk about your why, your story, how to come up with your brand story, how to create your mission statement, your vision statement, your personal brand statement. But then I saw that people didn't know how to use it. It didn't translate into their business, right? You have all these pieces, but they need to translate into this business. And this is what we call implementation. But you need the foundation first, right? So within that SEMA framework, what I do is I teach my clients to develop who is their ideal client, create content mastery, and I'm reading from there. And under content mastery, this is not about you just saying, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. This is the strategy and the content strategy that actually fits into no matter what platform, right? So then email marketing, visibility, building your network, building your $1 million network, doing lead generation, all based on your brand strategy. So for example, my brand strategy based on who I am and my own self-discovery and my own core values, a lot of my lead generation happens in person. And when I say in person, sometimes it's Zoom calls, but because I feed off others people's energy. When I am in front of a crowd, I am the best me is when my heart is lit up. I love talking to people. And then I go run and hide on my cave. However, this is where I'm most lit up, and that makes sense for me, but this may not make sense for other people. This is where you go back to those guidelines, who you are, your why do you love doing what you're doing? What is the reason that you are doing what you're doing? And then we bring it to the world. And then also we talk about visual brand identity, because if you're looking DIY, if you're looking like you drew your logo, if you are looking like, if you're trying to really build $1 million brand and attract clients that are going to pay what your service is worth, do you think that they want to see a dark DIY photo on your Instagram, on your banner, on your podcast? No, you want to elevate everything that you do. So I hope that this was so enlightening for you. And I want to bring it back with a few examples of personal brands so you kind of like make the connection, right? So as I was doing some research for today's podcast, one of the things that I started thinking is, okay, what are some personal brands that I personally love following? So I personally love following Jenna Kutcher, okay? So I was following Jenna, I don't know, like years and years ago when I started my photography business. This was before personal branding, before everything, because Jenna used to be a photographer. She used to be a portrait photographer. Now, this is where the story gets really good. Jenna does not, I actually don't believe that she even shoots anymore. And she started her product offering on Pinterest, teaching other photographers how to use Pinterest. Now, as she evolved and as she changed, and I used to love looking at the beginning, I can't remember where I used to follow her. I believe it was Facebook. I purchased her first ever Pinterest course, but I love the way she talked. I love the way she talked about life. I love the way she talked about business. I love the way she actually talked about taking messy action and being absolutely yourself. And she also talked about her struggles and how she was overcoming it. I was going through the same struggles. So I fell in love with her. Then she started talking about motherhood. Then she started talking about building a podcast. Then she started talking about building an email list. All things that were correlative with my journey, but not all at the same time. However, what I want you to understand is now she's also doing affiliate marketing. She's also talking about her weight loss journey after motherhood, right? And after having 2 babies. So do you see how you're not necessarily following her product, her offer? You're following her. And why this is so important is because this is how you build your audience. You build an audience of people that connect to you at a deeper level, to your core values, to who you are. And sometimes you don't even need to say your core values. I've been talking about core values a ton, but sometimes you don't need to even talk about your core values. You're showing your core values through the content. Like for me, like I am super transparent. I talk a lot about my struggle with mindset and with inner work and with me feeling less than and not being confident when I first started my business. And that is my fuel to actually help women build personal brands that leave a mark in the world and to become more confident and to get out of their own shell and to become their best self, right? So for me, it's not just about building $1 million business. It's about doing it while I'm having fun and I love what I do and I help others along the way. So what is it for you? Okay. Another example that I wanted to actually use is not a woman, but everybody knows him, is Tony Robbins. So Tony Robbins is the most well-known personal development person in the world. And he has, I think I Googled it earlier, while there is not really a consensus of how many businesses he has, the minimum that he has is 14. Now, why this is important is because of who he is, that he gets to have all these opportunities. So what I want you to understand is you building your personal brand starts with understanding who you are, bringing that into the world, putting that in writing, which is so important because so many people, they have all these ideas convoluted in their head, but they never put them in writing. You can only get to clarity when you put these things in writing. So literally inside of the Be Your Brand Academy, we have a system where women come in, they go through the videos, they get feedback from me, they put this in writing, and then they start using it in their business, in their content, so they can start ramping up to talk about their services and why their services are tied to everything else. So one of the things that I want to talk about is becoming an authority in your niche while you're doing this work. And I searched this on my notes because I don't want to forget. And it's this. We want to turn you into this go-to person in your industry, right? We want people to recognize you, not just clients, but also peers, because that's when you start getting invited to speak, right? You start getting invited to be on podcasts. You start getting invited to give your insight in what you do. However, I don't want you to let that concept get in your head and think that you're not good enough, that you don't have enough knowledge, because you should constantly be learning while you are building your business. My journey is not done. I'm still learning. I read marketing books all the time. We are just restructuring the whole Be Your Brand Academy, right? Like the Be Your Brand Academy started again in 2020, and we live in a completely different world. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, if you were selling Instagram, people literally were just skipping. Now people are looking for more bold women telling them what to do on social media in a way that actually connects with them. This may not be the same way for everybody, for you, for me, for other coaches, but people are literally open to buying on social media, which this was not the way 4 years ago. So I want you to understand that there is always room for you to teach somebody that is 2 steps behind, and you become the go-to person at any stage of your journey. So I hope that this first part of the series was enlightening for you, because I want to bring it full circle as I create the next few parts. And I think it's going to end up being a 4 or 5 part series, because I want to go deep into why you need to understand your ideal client. What is an ideal client? I worked with a client, I think it was last year, and she's phenomenal. And she's an advanced business owner. She left corporate. She was in a C-suite position. And she came into entrepreneurship. And she was like, I just want to help people. And I can help. Everybody can benefit from what I have to offer. And I'm like, yeah. But the thing is, when you talk to everybody, you don't talk to anybody. So the next part of the series is going to be understanding how you're going to benefit from actually picking a group of people to work with until you have the capacity, the understanding, the messaging, the structure to actually help everybody. But this is not necessarily niching down. We'll talk about that on that episode, and how do I teach these in different ways and how you can adopt it for yourself. But this is literally the framework that we are following. Today, we went all into self-discovery, why you need it and how you're going to use it. I would love to hear from you. If this episode helped you, if it gave you clarity on why you may be doubting what kind of content to put out there. Like maybe you are ready to move to the next step, right? To the brand visuals. And you're like, oh my God, I don't have anything for my website. This is why. Because if you had all this work done, this is literally what populates your website, right? Your why, your story, homepage, like everything, right? It starts talking to what colors, what fonts, depending on who you're serving, all those things. So I want to hear from you. What was your biggest takeaway? Take a screenshot, put it on social media. I would love for me to tag me. I'll give you a shout out. And I have a few things for you to take advantage of today. So number one is our quiz. So we have a personal branding quiz that takes about 60 seconds and literally follows the formula, the pillars that we use inside of the academy to see where you're at. Where are you with your personal brand? What are you missing and what to do next? What is the next step? You're going to receive an email that literally tells you what is the next step, depending if you are a beginner, an intermediate, even if you're an expert. I work with a ton of experts that they are rebranding, that they want to reach a bigger audience. Maybe they actually want to niche down, whatever it is, they come to me for. We do an assessment and we're like, okay, what is the next step? So if you're an expert, this applies to you too. And we have 2 classes coming up, one free and one paid. So next week, March 20th, I am hosting an email marketing 101 workshop. Why? Because last week, Instagram and Facebook went down and half of the people I know were shitting on their pants because they don't even have an email list. So maybe you have 5 emails in there and you're not even growing it. Maybe you never even started one. So I'm going to go through what I believe is the 101 and how you can start growing your email list right now and why it's so important. And in my opinion, this is one key component of you building your personal brand because it's intimate. You are in their inbox now. They're going to see your name. They're going to open your emails. And I'm going to venture to say this. Even if they don't open your email, they're seeing your name. The reminder that you still exist. So, Email Marketing 101, this is a free workshop and it's happening March 20th. And April 22nd, the week of April 22nd, we have our personal branding bootcamp. This is a multi-day event that is going to happen on Zoom. This is a $17 event. So literally, I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know to build your profitable personal brand, from what do you want to be known for, to lead generation, to visibility, to all the things. So all the links are right here in the show notes. And I'll see you next week. Thank you, guys. Mwah.